subscribed to the channel and been watching the videos. I truly appreciate you. And if you're new to the channel, please consider subscribing. I post 2 videos a week, Monday and Thursday at 6 p.m. Eastern Time. Please use headphones to hear the gentle mic brushing. Alright, so tonight I'm doing a very, very well-known case, and it has been requested. So you probably have heard it before. This is the case of Jodi Arias and Travis Alexander. In a nutshell, Jodi was dating Travis. She became extremely obsessed, and ultimately, after they had broken up, she murdered him. That is the super, super quick version. So, here is the case. The murder She taught him all about the religion, and he really got into it. He became heavily invested in the religion. In his adulthood, he began working for a company called Prepaid Legal Services, which was a multi-level marketing type of company, also referred to as a pyramid scheme. Typically, I didn't look into this exact company, but generally how that works is not only are you trying to, sell the product, in this case it's not a product, it's a service, but you're also trying to recruit more and more people to do the selling. So it's not usually the most, up and up kind of business, if you know what I'm saying. But anyway, that's not really important for this case. But anyway, he was doing really well with this company. And he had also become a motivational speaker. Meanwhile, Jodi was working as a photographer. I don't know if she was amateur or freelance or what it was exactly, but she also began working for this company, and she attended a conference for this company in Las Vegas, and that is where she met Travis Alexander. This was in 2006. They began dating long distance though, because at this point he was living in Arizona and she was living in California with her grandparents. So they were having a long distance relationship. Now don't forget, he was a devout Mormon, and because of that, he was supposed to remain celibate until he got married. But he didn't. He really could not resist her, and he even referred to her as his kryptonite. So anyway, he started telling her about Mormonism, and he gave her the Book of Mormon to read, and he even sent missionaries to her house. And she knew that she was going to have to become a Mormon if she wanted to stay with him or ultimately marry him. what they truly felt. She was scary. She would follow him everywhere, like just wanted everyone to know he's mine, don't touch him, he's mine. Like if he would go to the bathroom, she would follow him and stand outside the door. And she didn't like it when he talked to other women. So one day, Jodi and Travis were at a friend's house. It was like several people there. And the friends took Travis up to a bedroom and closed the door and started talking to him about their feelings about Jodi. That, it wasn't a healthy relationship and, the whole 9 yards. And then the friend was like, started whispering, or mouthing it to him. I bet you she's standing right outside the door right now listening. So Travis slowly, and silently crept over to the door, flung it open, and there she was. She was listening at the door. But she didn't care anyway. She did not care what other people thought. She just knew what she wanted, and she wanted him. Well, eventually he decided he would listen to his friend's advice, and he broke up with her. But, like I said before, she was his kryptonite, and he just couldn't, let her go completely. So they continued to get together for sex. He began to date other women, and Jodi decided that she would pick herself up and move to his neighborhood. So she got herself a place like 10 minutes from him. She didn't even tell him she was going to do that. She just did it. And then she started letting herself into his house through his garage door because she knew the code. So he would come home and she would just be there. And sometimes he would act angry about it, but sometimes they would just go upstairs and have sex, And at least one time she broke in through his doggy door. She also slashed his tires 2 times when he was at a woman's house. And also, if he was at another woman's house, she would go and ring the doorbell and then run away. So ultimately, he convinced her to pick herself up and move back to California. And she listened. So recently he decided to uninvite her and ask a different woman to go with him. Now that woman actually told Travis that she doesn't want to be anything more than friends with him, but nonetheless he was planning on going with her. Jodi was now involved with a man who she had planned to go meet in Utah early in June. And she got herself ready to leave. It was June 4th. She filled up a couple of gas cans so she had extra gas and wouldn't need to make any stops. And off she drove to, not Utah, she drove to Mesa, Arizona. And she made sure she turned off her cell phone before she crossed over into Arizona. So, June 4th, she spent the day with Travis. They had sex, and they took tons of explicit photos. When he went to take a shower, she stabbed him at least 27 times. She slit his throat. And she shot him in the head. Somehow, she dropped the camera during this murder, and it took a few pictures, which she didn't even realize, but regardless, she cleaned up a little bit. She took the bloody towels and the camera and just threw them all into his washing machine and ran it and left. Does that even make sense? Like, that's not the smartest move for a criminal. Even if you run the wash. I mean, come on. So, she left, and she went ahead and drove the rest of the way to Utah to meet this man. She showed up a day late, and she told him that she got lost, and then took a little, break in the trip. She also had dyed her hair brown, and she was wearing long sleeves and had cuts all over her hands. She said that she had cut herself from working as a waitress. And the man said they had a very normal kind of a time together. She was upbeat, she was talkative, they kissed, and he didn't think anything, strange about it. obviously that she didn't do it, right? She did not do this, and what a horrible, horrible thing. But she didn't do it. And she talked so sweetly, this sweet little mouse voice. Like, just the best liar ever, because it was hard to tell, you know, because she seemed so genuine. But I mean, these police, they knew, you know. All the evidence was very clear. So that was her original thing, that she just didn't do it. Then after a night in jail, she came back to tell them that, well, here is what really happened. She was with Travis all day, and then these two people dressed all in black came in and murdered Travis right in front of her. And they said they would spare her life because they were really just there for him, but that she better not tell anyone. And she was scared, so that's why she never told. But it wasn't a particularly believable story. And then when she eventually, after years, went to trial, she changed the story again and said that it was self-defense, that he was physically assaulting her, and that is why she wound up killing him. But he had plenty of character witnesses, you know, previous girlfriends who said he was never physically abusive.